Sometimes I think Christians are afraid to speak clearly because we have been trained to believe that truth needs to be complicated before it can be taken seriously. We think before we can say anything about God, morality, sexuality, abortion, feminism, Marxism, politics, identity, or culture, we need to know every philosopher, every historical movement, every argument, every counter-argument, every verse number, every study, and every possible objection. Ugh. And listen, I'm not saying we should be lazy. Christians should study, we should read, we should know what we are talking about, we should not misrepresent people. We should not build straw man. We should not speak arrogantly on things we have never taken time to understand. But sometimes fear disguises itself as humility. There is a difference between saying, I need to learn more, and saying, I cannot speak until I know everything. The second one sounds humble, but sometimes it is just fear. And I have noticed this in myself. Sometimes I know what is true. The moment I imagine someone smarter than me challenging me, I start overthinking. I start thinking, how do I explain this perfectly? How do I make this sound intellectual? How do I make Christianity sound reasonable enough so they do not reject it? And at some point, I have to ask myself, am I trying to explain the truth, or am I trying to make truth less embarrassing? Because truth is often much simpler than fear makes it. Think about peer pressures. How many of us got pressured into something when we were younger? And looking back, the answer could have been so simple. Someone offers you weed, you don't need a dissertation. You can just say, no, I do not smoke. Someone pressures you to drink, you can just say, no, I do not drink. Someone wants you to laugh at something sinful, disrespectful, or cruel. You can just say, I do not think that is funny. And I gotta correct myself because that's something I'm working on. Someone asks you why you believe marriage matters, why sex matters, why children matter, why human life matters, why God matters. Yes, there are deeper arguments. Yes, there is theological, philosophical, and historical layers. But the truth underneath it is still simple. God made the world. God made human beings in his image. God made male and female. Sin corrupts what God made good. Christ came to redeem what sin destroyed. That is not simplistic. That is foundation. The problem is not always that. The truth is hard to understand. Sometimes the problem is that the truth is hard to stand on. Because once you stand on it, people may not like you. They may think you are outdated. They may think you are hateful. They may think you are not educated. They may think you are too religious. And that is where fear comes in. Fear says, make the truth sound softer. Fear says, do not say it plainly. Fear says, add 1,000 qualifications so nobody gets upset. But confidence in faith does not mean being rude. It does not mean being careless. It does not mean acting like you know everything. Confidence in faith means you stop apologizing for reality. You can be kind and still be clear. You can be humble and still be firm. You can admit what you do not know and still stand on what God has made obvious. That is what I am learning. Sometimes truth is not complicated. Sometimes truth is just costly. And the question is not, can I make everyone accept this? The question is, can I say the truth without decorating it with fear? Because God does not call us to manufacture faith. So maybe the first step to speaking truth without fear is this. Stop assuming that simple means weak. Sometimes the simplest answer is the strongest one. No, I do not believe that. No, I do not live that way. No, I do not think that is right. My foundation is Christ. That may not impress everyone, but faithfulness was never about impressing everyone. Faithfulness begins when we stop panicking over whether truth sounds acceptable. We start trusting that God